Yep. Do we need to wait a couple of seconds before we start on the
I
record?
say, I say we're good. We're recording. We're good to go. You can,
Okay,
you lead the ship.
excellent. So guys, welcome to 2021 lacrosse season, whatever that may look like. We're definitely going to have some games. All the training this year is virtual, so we're going to keep it to an hour a week. We're going to do 6 straight weeks, possibly a 7th week if we want to go over test questions. We're going to have a full Saturday where we'll repeat all the information, just in case people weren't able to join one of those sessions. Doing something a little different for this session than we did in the level 1 that just happened. I'm unmuting everybody. We'd like some dialogue. If you have questions, please ask. Tonight is going to be the rule changes. And then if we have time, we'll talk about assigning. Otherwise, we'll move that to next week. But please stay on mute unless you have a question. Feel free to come off of mute for any type of clarification, questions, comments. We are at about 34 people right now, so we got a good audience. Let's get rolling. So the level 2 agenda, like I said, we're going to run Mondays, and then we'll run a Saturday, March 28th, a full day just to cover all the material again. FYI for everybody, the level 1 times are right here. So this week we're going to cover the rule changes and interpretation. Next week we'll go over some health and safety issues, talk about assigning, and then you see the rest of the calendar there, going into some various topics. We do have some new clinicians this year, so you'll be hearing some new names. And like I said, on April 12th, the test review will be optional. So any questions before we jump to the material? Okay, Tom, I put the 2019 rule changes up here, assuming you wanted to go over those first. So
yeah,
all yours.
I think it's helpful that since we haven't officiated in a year, to remind ourselves what the rule changes for 2019 were. So we can read them here. You know, the pocket, the net must be completely attached to the head and the sidewall, leaving no gaps. Okay, should be self-explanatory. I think the next one's important to know. The slow whistle below the goal line extended is not a shot for the purposes of a stall for the keep it in, get it in. But you can score a goal from below the goal line, all right? So I think this was a controversy last year. Some guys were not calling it a goal. You could still score the goal. But if the ball hits the post and goes out of bounds, goes out of the attack box, basically the team that took that shot, which is not considered a shot, has violated the stalling rule, and the ball will be turned over. So that's what we wanted to mention, all right? And the next one, disallowing a goal, all right? So if you have a last second shot, all right, and after the ball contacts the goalie, the ball hits any offensive or defensive player, okay, you cannot score that goal. Now, that doesn't include the fact that if I take a shot, it hits a defender and goes into the goal, that does count, all right? I take a shot, rebounds, you know, so I want you guys to be aware of that. If once it hits the goalie, if the period's expired, okay, it can't bounce off an offensive or defensive player. It can bounce off the goalie and score. All right, the next one was a clarification on the over and back ruling. So you can't kick the ball, you can't hit it with your chest. At that point, the ball is over and back, it's a violation. The only thing you can do is bat the ball with your hands on the cross. So if the ball is not crossed the midline and you bat the ball, all right, and it stays in the offensive half, all right, then you're okay. So again, that was just a clarification in 2019. 2019 actually addressed the defenseless player, the targeting, and the targeting of a defenseless player. So again, I want you just to be aware of the fact that these penalties are rather severe. A defensive player's body check is an automatic 2 or 3 minute non-releasable penalty. A targeting penalty is an automatic 3 minute non-releasable. Okay, targeting a defenseless player is also automatic 3 minutes. All right, check, fine, but if you're calling it targeting, then you have to give him 3 minutes. coaches obstructions. So we've all run into this in the past. Coaches at the lower level, even the upper level, he's over exuberant, he's on the field, and he bumps into you. Okay? All right. Technically, that's a 1 to 3 minute releasable unsportsmanlike conduct. I'm going to tell you guys, if he knocks you on your butt and the guy got a breakaway and you're standing at the top of the box because the coach knocked you on your ass, okay, and they score a goal or they don't score a goal, I probably would lean more towards the 3 minute. Now, it is a releasable penalty, so we're not screwing the guy too bad. But, we can always still mention to him, you got to get off the field, coach, and try to avoid him. But if for some reason we're watching the play of the game and we do run into a coach, then we have to administer this penalty. All right. The ejected coach is a 1 minute non-releasable. So if a coach gets out of control, we don't want to really hurt his team, his players. We're going to eject him and charge a 1 minute non-releasable to the coach. All right. This also came up 2 years ago. Warding, you can ward with both hands on the cross. And we always talked about body displacement. So if I push you and knock you on your ass and I do the old bull dodge, that technically, all right, can be called a ward if you have both hands on the cross. Okay. Now, if you just push somebody, knock him, and you don't displace his body, that's not considered a ward. All right. And the key one was we changed during the flag down slow whistle. All right. It used to be if the ball was grounded, we would blow the whistle and stop the flag down. All right. And we learned last year, 2 years ago, that we're going to keep that action alive. So the ball on the ground does not stop the slow whistle. We will continue to play. Same thing. The ball out of the box does not stop that slow whistle. All right. We can go on, Bob. Next one. Okay, so the 220 rule changes, which we really never got to use last year, okay, is they had an equipment, uniform standards that they were trying to make people aware of. And basically, now the goalie has to have a no-skate approved chest protector. All right, and you can ask that to the coach before the game. You want to qualify that all your players are properly equipped, and your goalie has a 2021 no-skate chest protector that's legal. Okay, so we might want to ask that. Now, there's other changes that are going to come up in the next couple of years. 2022, they're going to do something with shoulder pads, and on 2022, they're going to make it that that the home team is required to wear a white jersey. So these are the things in the future that they just want to make us aware of, so we don't, surprise the coaches in 2022 and go, oh, you're supposed to have white jerseys for the home team. All right. So just an editorial change was in the rule book. They just put in there that we will no longer penalize a team for too few players on the field. Okay. I mean, we've all run into this. Hopefully the more experienced guys have not called the penalty on a coach for playing a man down, even though he wasn't a man down. I think the big one is the restarts, right? We've been using this rule at the college level, so I want to make you aware of it. Basically, let's see, what are my notes here? All right. The defending player on any restart shall establish a 5-yard distance between him and the player with possession of the ball, okay? If that defender is within 5 yards, he may be liable, all right, for a delay game penalty. Okay. If you allow that player to gain that 5 and direct passage to the goal, and then after you've gained that 5-yard distance, and then you follow him, there will be no penalty assessed. Okay. All right. So this is a key one, I think, that we're going to we're not going to give players a warning anymore. Back up, give them 5 yards. No, we just wait till we're ready on the quick restarts and the players are ready because they want to go, blow the whistle. All right. And if he's within 5 yards and he hasn't given him that 5 yards distance, then we potentially have a flag down. Okay. So we have situations where, the long pole is 5 yards back, but he stuck his stick out in front of him to play the defend the ball possession person. And that person makes a pass and it hits the defender's stick. okay, that stick is now not within the 5 yards or within the 5 yards, so that's a penalty. All right, so we have to be aware of this. This is a new rule that we're going to have to get used to.
So
Right.
Tom, you want to point out one thing: you cannot blow the whistle, however, if an offensive player is within 5 yards.
Well, that's on the restarts, and I think that's covered in another point. But that's a great point, Bob. Is that if you have that armadillo or the 5 yards, all the offensive players huddled together, you are not going to blow that whistle. You are going to tell them back up, because at that point you will not give them a quick restart, because that's also illegal. Okay, but it's not anything but just tell them to back up, and they can't be within 5 yards of the person with possession of the ball. All right, 4:24:6. Basically, it moved the timeout for a discussion for a concussion to an official's timeout. Okay, so if you see a player that's stumbling or you feel that it needs some medical attention, you can call the timeout, and it's now your timeout. It's not the team's timeout. All right, let's go Bob. Next one. What's going next? Okay. Big one for all of us, should make our job a whole lot easier. Okay, all illegal crosses, in order to simplify the penalty, because some people couldn't remember, will now be a 2-minute non-releasable penalties. And we can adjust that cross and allow it to return to the game. Okay, all right, if you have a second penalty, all right, you can term that to be an unsportsmanlike conduct. All right, and then remember, 2 unsportsmanlike conducts can lead to an ejection. And again, this is it's something in dispute, but they've said that any cross in the area of the bench is subject to be inspected. So the guy that comes out there and using his stick, his college stick or whatever, and he's warming up the goalie, if that cross is on the bench, it can be inspected. Now, I wouldn't go searching for it, and it's probably going to have to be a coach's request. But tell that coach, take that stick and throw it in a bag and throw it on the track behind, so we don't have this situation come up. All right. So the rules committee, they don't like the fact that kids are throwing their stick under any circumstance. All right. So if you throw your stick at a player, at the ball, or any game personnel, regardless of contact. So you don't have to contact if you throw your stick at the ball. So how many times have we seen, right before halftime, the guy makes that toss downfield, and the guy at midfield throws his stick up in the air. Well, that can now be called a 1 or 2 or 3 minute non-releasable unsportsmanlike conduct. Okay. So now the other thing that came up is what happens to the kid who's frustrated, all right, and he throws the crossover to the side, and the coach doesn't pick it up. That's going to be a 30-second technique. But the big ones are the throwing across at the ball, the player. So how are we going to determine between 1, 2, 3 minutes? All right. So there's a kid and he has a breakaway, and the goalie's out of the crease, and he throws his cross, and the ball goes into his cross. I'm going to give that kid a 3-minute non-releasable, because he's actually prevented a goal. All right. So let's see. So those are the rule changes basically for 2020. Okay. Any questions? Just be aware of the slow whistle technique from 2018, which is now, we're still going to use the goodie. All right, but the out of the box does not apply. All right, that's still a live ball, and the on the ground, all right, still applies. So that's going to be a live ball. All right.
Tom, in terms of that rule change, in terms of the subs not penalizing for lack of subs, what happens? There's a delayed substitution. The guy's hiding in the box for a breakaway. We just going to let that?
That's a different situation. If you think that he's hiding in the box and he comes on the field and receives a pass, then I would actually throw the flag. Okay. All right. It's the lower levels. I think sometimes we get the freshmen, or we can't ever tell for sure, but At the freshman level, the kids, they don't even realize how many kids are supposed to be on the field and how many aren't supposed to. But if you think that there's an intent behind it, then you can call on sportsmanlike conduct.
Okay,
Okay.
thank you.
All right. So the emphasis for 2021 and 2020, they're the same emphasis: sportsmanship and conduct. All right. And again, I use this in my pregame. I use it, respect the game. You know, you can talk to the coaches. They're supposed to help monitor and discuss sportsmanship with their players and their assistant coaches. Okay. So they just want the game to be respected. And so far it has been. We just don't want things to get out of hand. Player safety was highlighted. And again, we talked about head and neck contact. All right. We've talked about defenseless player. We've talked about targeting. All right. So all of these penalties, head and neck is an automatic 2 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty. Defenseless player is a 2 to 3 minute non-releasable. Targeting, potentially, if it's intentional, 3 minute non-releasable. Okay, so we can't go in there and charge targeting a minute. It has to be 3. So be sure that you're using the right words. You know, I'll have people, you know, they'll tell a coach, you know, I have head and neck contact, and they'll start hitting their helmet, and then they'll give the kid a 1 minute. So it just makes us inconsistent. All right, if we're not always all on the same page. The pace of play. All right, quick restarts. So that's why we've changed to the new restart rule. They want quick restarts, but make sure that you are ready. Okay, a lot of times the players are ready to go. Come on, ref, I'm ready, I'm ready, I'm ready. Make them within the general vicinity of where their restart start's supposed to be. So if they're 10 yards down the field and yelling, I'm ready, you got to blow the whistle and bring them back. Okay, or not even blow the whistle, just bring them back. Quick restarts is you got to be ready. So take a quick count, take a quick awareness of where you're on the field, how many players are around. If you're the trail official, you may have offsides. You want to figure out who's behind you, who's in front of you, before you kind of restart that ball. And then we talked about this last year. Okay, with the pace of play, we want to bring attention to the stalling rules. And we can have other people chirp in here if they want, but Rule 610, Article 1 basically says it shall be the responsibility of the team in possession to attack the goal. So if we have people running around on the outskirts of the box, all right, we need to consider a stall. All right, and John went through this last year a lot. Okay, now remember, if the offensive team has the ball in the offensive attack box area, then the defense has to play them in order for the stall to be put on. Okay, so these are things that if we just quickly run through our rule book and go back to the Rule 610 and look at stalling and be more consistent with that. And again, it's all involved with the pace of the play. They've said that lacrosse is the fastest game on 2 feet, and we want it to remain that way. All right, now I brought this up before, but future equipment and uniform changes, basically the chest protectors for the goalie in 2021 should have the NOSCE standard. All right, shoulder pads in 2022 should also have the NOSCE standards. And right now, are we looking at this kind of stuff? No. Right now, because of the COVID, we're going to ask the coach if he's going to verify that his players are properly equipped. All right, and if 2022 comes upon us, and we're out of the COVID, we may have to check shoulder pads for the sticker, but I'm not going to go there right now. And again, it'll make our job easier if we have a home team that's required to wear a white jersey, okay, and the visitors to wear non-white. Okay, any questions so far? Now, those are just a quick, you know, we're just resuming just really quickly, just, you know what I'm trying to say. I'm just trying to go over the rule changes to make sure we're on the same basis. Okay. All right, I'm done, Bob.
Okay. We are now into the U.S. lacrosse rules and terps.
Everything that I said.
Yeah, exactly. It's just a recap, essentially. Does somebody have a TV on in the background? I think I've muted about everybody, but there is some background TV noise. So I'll walk through a couple of these, then I'll hand it over to you, Tom. So yeah, I'm assuming everybody noticed that the NFHS isn't putting out 2021 rule books. Whatever you have for 2020 still applies. There really wasn't the time to run the new rules, so they decided to stay with the current rules as is. Thus, we don't need a new rule book. Same thing that Tom said already here. Player equipment, there is a link. We'll put this slide deck out, but this is the U.S. lacrosse deck. They've got a link to some information, probably nothing pertinent for the actual officials that we'll have to go look up. But remember, this deck is used by the coaches also. So place for them to go and look up the approved products for goalkeepers. And anybody that has children or is associated with any youth programs might be good to go look up the actual equipment. Equipment certification. So that second bullet is what Tom said, ask the coach. And what U.S. Lacrosse is recommending is that you just expand your coach's certification. Coach, are all of your players legally equipped by rule, including a legal goalkeeper chest protector as required for the 2021 season? If the coach looks at you and says, what's that? You probably have an issue. But just include that in your pregame certification with the coach. Like Tom said, nobody's checking goalkeeper equipment. We're not checking any equipment this year. We'll talk about the COVID protocols in a couple of weeks. U.S. Lacrosse does have some out, but we believe IHSA is going to come out with their own protocols. Not entirely sure what those are going to be, but we'll talk about COVID hopefully next week if it's out. Otherwise, we'll postpone that until we get something official from IHSA. The
Well,
college. Go
Bob,
ahead,
I'm
Tom.
going to talk to them next week, so we should have that out for the meeting
Excellent.
next week. Okay.
Yeah, I was going to say the college has changed a few things, kind of the way you do certain things on the field, and we're expecting IHSA may follow along with that as well. So we'll have that in a week or so. Okay, Rule 2.1, just pointing out that if they don't, where they're going with this is if they don't have a goalkeeper with a legal chest protector, you can't play the game unless they can get one. You have to play 10 players on the field, and one of those must be a legally equipped goalkeeper. Don't trouble with this, right? Ask the coach. If he says yes, go with it. But what U.S. Lacrosse is saying is if that goalkeeper is out there with catcher's chest protector or something that's not certified NUCSA, then you really should not be playing the game. But again, don't trouble with this. They're out there to play the game. This is a rule change this year, and some of the young kids, they may have to go spend $50, $80, $100, $200 for a new chest protector, so that may be cost prohibitive. So don't go looking for trouble, but make sure that everybody's safe out there for the rules. Quick restarts, basically the same thing that Tom recapped, right? You can blow the whistle quickly as long as the offense is not within 5 yards. That defensive player has a requirement, however, that before he plays the ball carrier, he must establish 5 yards. That could be 30 yards down the field, right? If he runs away from the guy, comes back and plays him, that is completely fine. The one small thing to remember is if somebody decides to stand right in front of the goalie and wave his cross back and forth as the goalie's given a restart, he's not within 5 yards, right? A lot of the younger kids like to stand in front of the goalie and wave their cross, hoping they can knock the ball down. That's a flag because he is not 5 yards away after the restart. So there's a lot of videos on this. We'll do some video presentations on this, but once you see it, it's pretty easy. Until then, it's going to take a little bit of getting used to for both the players and the officials that haven't done this before. And this is just a diagram of where people need to be. One thing to remember, always around the bench, regardless of what you're doing for a restart, get them 5 yards out from the bench. You can do the quick restart, tell them to take 2 steps forward, just get away from that bench. Don't do a restart within 5 yards of the bench at any point, even if you're trying to give them a quick restart. That's just a good opportunity if somebody come off the bench and make a mess of things. Okay, so here's just a few bullet points when to delay a quick restart. Offensive player 5 yards, goalkeeper out of the crease. Remember in high school, the goalies get 5 seconds to get back into the crease. So you might want to blow the whistle quickly, but if that goalie is out and hasn't been given 5 seconds, you're creating a lot of trouble for yourself. Third point is the one I just made. 5 yards of the substitution area, don't do a quick restart then, move them out, and then do the restart as fast as you can. And again, the thing to remember with quick restart is you're giving them a fast restart when you're ready, not when they're ready. The kid could be picking it up and running forward saying, blow the whistle, blow the whistle, blow the whistle. We're not giving a restart in that situation, right? Everything needs to be proper. Check quickly with the other officials, make sure they don't have their hand up in the air for something. You could have an injured player, just a lot of things that you may not want to do a quick restart on, but for the most part, they're going to be quick. Next one is the bullet point I just made, right? The kid's going to pick the ball up, start running down the field and say, blow the whistle, blow the whistle, blow the whistle. You blow the whistle when you're ready for the whistle. Don't make the kid come all the way back if he took a step or two in a direction, but if he takes off running down the field, that's when you do want to bring him back. Official's not ready to restart play. Ball rolls away from the location, right? You got to bring it back to the general area where it was when the ball was dead. I guess he's really emphasizing this point that the officials are not ready to restart play. And then if you have a non-time serving violation on the defense that occurs while the ball's in the goal area, the offensive team has to bring it out of the goal area, right? We do not restart the offense within the goal box. The goalie, the defense, sure, you can do that, but don't restart the offense within the box. Any questions on the quick restart? Got a couple of guys that just joined. Let me allow them to talk. Chris, Ben, Randy, Rob. Okay, like I mentioned at the beginning, we're running this one a little bit different. Everybody can come off of mute if you wish to ask a question, comment, etc. Please stay on mute just for background noise if you're not commenting.
Hey, Bob, real quick. The ball rolls away from location. If the other player throws the ball away, there could be delay of game. Just make sure it's an accidental roll.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Great point, John.
So just make sure of that. And also, we go to the 5-yard substitution area. Put that in your pregame early with your coaches, because sometimes the coaches get kind of confused. How come I don't get a quick restart in that area? That should be like a pregame with your coaches, so they know, okay, this is the quick restart, but if it's in this area, we're bringing it back 5 yards. So don't have an issue. Why don't get a quick restart when the guy's like 2.5 yards away, nobody around them? They're looking for a quick restart. Say, the rules is, coach. All right?
Hey, John, while you're on, do you want to talk about the hate speech protocol? Is that still in play this year? Have they changed anything on that?
Listen, hate speech crawl should have been in play for a long time, guys. It's actually all through basketball. It's now been adopted by the ISSA, by the way, that whole speech thing. All right. If you guys know what it is here, so you have, for example, play a game. All of a sudden, a player comes up to you and says, "Hey, I was called this word, this word, this word," calling a hate thing by another player. First dead ball, stop the game, bring the coaches over and tell them what happened, and let it go. As long as you didn't hear it. All right. If anything else happens by that guy, so number 4 accuses number 3 of saying something. All right. So I don't hear it. There's a warning. All right. If not, we have to stop ball again for number 3. Boom, boom, boom. Number 9 says something. Number 3 says something. You go back to the coach. Okay, boom. He's out. He's out of the game. He's suspended for 2 games. If you hear it, it's an automatic suspension for 2 games. You have to write that up to me, and also there's a form to the ADs. What happens? The ADs they contact the parents and blah, blah, blah. But that has to be very followed. That's in football too, Bob, this year. High school football. I know it's in basketball right now. It's across the board. ISA adopted that whole thing. So any derogatory, language, religion, race, gender, all that stuff is, you can't be saying that, guys, out there. I mean, it's a man's sport, but we got to watch what we say out there. And there's no leeway about that. The worst thing you're going to do, get caught, is all of a sudden the kid tells his parents call the AD, and you guys did nothing about it. You know what I mean? because they go home all of a sudden. And I told, the kid, Johnny says, hey, Mom, I was out there. I told the official nothing happened. All of a sudden goes back the AD. It's a 360 circle. You will find yourself not working games in that conference. There's no leeway about it, okay? Your job out there is to stop that, is to be a human being, treat people like you're supposed to be, and there's no leeway that, guys, all right? So worst thing happens is you let something go like that. And like I said, the first time, if you don't hear it, it's a simple stop, and then it puts everybody on notice to what's going on. That's all. It's not you don't stop it during live ball. You stop that ball, get coaches together, and it's as simple as that. But if you do not act, this thing will come around and get you in a hard way. And all of a sudden you're not working lacrosse again because you just can't monitor that stuff. And I had it in basketball, and just simple stop, and the AD knows about it. I did my job. That's it. Any questions on that, guys? No? All right. It's a simple hard line.
Hey, John, did
Yes,
you have
sir.
a question on that? John Harris, do you have a
Yeah,
question
better.
on that?
Actually, with that, the hate speech, you're saying, so even if we don't hear any second, third time, toss them no matter
He's
what?
gone. He's gone.
Jeez.
Listen, you know what? You pick the rose the one time, it's got a thorn, boom. You try to pick it again. Listen, that guy should be he's got to be away from that, And that's up to them to deal with. There's no leeway on that. You know what I mean? He's on notice. And I don't know. I could tell you, I can't tell you. I had it in, I couldn't tell you if he did or not, but it's the way. And all of a sudden I looked at the expression. The guy told me what happened. But, who knows? It's happened a couple of times, well, in lacrosse, but it's just something you got no leeway on. You just got to follow protocol, John. That's it.
So just CYA, just make sure you're covered.
Well, listen, you know that. That's just it.
Yeah.
I mean, we have no leeway on it. And like I said, there's no leeway on defenseless. We'll go to defenseless players, 2 to 3 minutes, targeting 3 minutes, head, neck, 2 minutes. If you guys want to change the leeway on that stuff, you're going to get caught in the wrong spot with these guys. All right. When you call head, neck, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, non-releasable, you can't go 1 minute releasable. When you say head, neck, like Tom said, you go targeting, it's 3 minutes. There's no leeway in that. All right. Black and white, unless you start writing the rule book, and then you got to do what Tom did, and it's going to take 2 years to get the change. But this year, don't rewrite the rule book, okay?
We'll send out in the first newsletter, we'll send out a memo with the actual hate speech language from the protocols from the Central Suburban League. So John Harris, I'll talk to you about that.
Like I said, that's right now, that is the ISSA protocol.
Okay. So we'll pull it up on IHSA.
This year, basketball.
They get it in writing.
Yeah, it's a basketball. IHSA adapted that last year, and that is their protocol now, no longer a Central Suburban protocol. Okay.
John, I would just add, our football crew was at New Trier until about 2 a.m. when this first happened. The Central Suburban coaches are great. They are our biggest help in terms of enlisting at football, lacrosse. Whenever we've gone up to a Central Suburban coach and said something, he has handled it immediately. So
yes. We
really need to leverage the coaches on this one.
Oh, I had it at it goes with what is it, Woodstock North and against Harvard, and the coaches handle it, and that was it. They take care. Coaches know what they got to do. There's no exception to it. You just can't have a kid go all of a sudden home and said, well, I was at the game. The other players call me these things. You know what I mean? They just look bad on all of us. It's like, we don't care. You know what I mean? What's her perception is, okay, well, you can say whatever you want to. I don't care out there. That's the biggest thing. It's not what's going to happen to you. It's, do you care? Well, that's my job to care out there. Right? All right, let's move on, Bob.
Excellent. Thanks, John. Slow whistle technique. Everybody's pretty familiar with this, right? I think they're just clarifying. Need to throw a flag if the foul is against the player with the ball or any other player of the offense, right? If you got a dead ball situation, that's different, but you got flag down situations regardless of who on the offense was fouled. And then, Tom, we added this for you. Want to go over Goody?
Yeah. So, I mean, it's still basically the core of it. So we know when we throw the whistle and the offense has the ball, okay, we don't want to take the advantage of them away, that they may still have a chance to score. So we will hold the flag. I'm sorry, we threw the flag. Now we have the slow whistle. So we're holding our whistle until Goody. Basically, a goal is scored. We blow the whistle, stop play. The ball goes out of bounds. Still going to blow the whistle. the offense commits a foul. So we have an illegal screen. Okay, we have a push. All right. The defense gains possession of the ball. And an injury. Okay. Now, if the injury occurs on the defensive end of the field, all right, and the kid has a break, we may want to hold our whistle. Okay. If the injury occurs with the player in the attack box and the ball loose in front of the crease, okay, if the ball is loose, there is no imminent scoring opportunity because the ball is loose. Nobody has possession. In that situation, we want to make sure, well, this is our judgment, but we want to blow the whistle and stop play so that player standing in the front of the crease doesn't get trampled. Now, let's hope that he is injured. All right. Otherwise, it looks bad for us. Okay. A player loses any of the required equipment in a scrimmage area. Okay. So again, this is a tough one for us, but we're all, the upper level officials. We've been doing this for 3 years. Okay. So a kid escapes, he's running on the field and his shoe falls off. And there's no player within 20 yards of him. Okay. We can kind of let that play go until somebody starts to approach him. At that point, then we're going to kill it and give the ball back to the player with the ball. Okay. And if I'm running along next to the kid, I might be yelling, you don't have all your equipment on. Okay. And then the E is obviously it's any kind of expiration of time. The period ends, a timeout is granted. All right. So that's the way I term it, is the expiration of time. Okay. And then the S, we've add S to the goodie, is a second defensive foul is committed. Again, unless there's a scoring play is imminent. Now, again, if that ball is loose on the ground and you have a loose ball push, the scoring play is probably not imminent because nobody has possession of the ball. So if that loose ball push is a second foul, all right, we're probably going to kill it right then. So what have we omitted here? We've taken away the out of the attack box. Okay, the ball will remain alive if the ball goes out of the attack box. And we've also taken away if the ball's on the ground. So again, it's been a year since we've been doing this. So we might have to refresh in our minds if we've been doing it too long. I've been doing it for 20 years and I know that now, but some of the newer guys go, oh, I thought it was on the ground and the ball's and the whistle blows. No, it's not. So just be aware of those kind of changes. That's all. Okay, next. Yep.
So this is the U.S. Lacrosse rules interp. We are going to skip playing this. It's about a 10-minute video. Watch this on your own. We also have the IHSA video that you're required to watch. So rather than taking the time up right now, we're getting tight on time with an hour session. I'm going to skip this. We'll have the slides up. It's on YouTube, is a real easy way to find it, U.S. Lacrosse 2021 NFHS Boys. And then moving on, these are just some U.S. Lacrosse links. You're not going to find the NFHS rulebook online. Again, that's a pay option if you want the electronic copy or the paper copy. But again, they're the same as last year. And then Rick Lake is the contact for rules at U.S. Lacrosse. So that's the U.S. Lacrosse deck. Jeremy's put together some interactive questions that we think will be very worthwhile. But before we jump to that, any comments, questions, concerns from anybody on the call? Let me get a couple of more folks the ability to talk here. D-Ray and Josh, if you guys want to unmute, feel free. Any questions, comments?
Do you want to run through real quick one of the requirements we're going to have every webinar as well to make sure that we understand we have active participants?
Yeah, exactly. So doing this online, right, it's possible for folks to watch this later and basically tell us they watched it and get credit. So we want to use a keyword. If they watch the video at some point, they'll get the keyword. They can mail the keyword into us and we will get credit to the IHSA. We've got to send a list of folks in. Jeremy, do we know if we can pull the list of attendees? I've got it in front of me right now.
Yeah,
but afterwards,
I have the list. We can pull up everybody who's online right now. I have them and
Okay.
when they started and if they left earlier when they came in, so we can pull up all the information.
Okay, excellent. So the keyword we're using this just this week, it'll be different next week, is keeper, Keeper. If you're watching this recorded session, please email us with that keyword and we will get you credit for it. So Jeremy, we do not need to post that, have them post in the chat, correct?
No, you know what? If they want to, let's do that real quick. Let's see how that works. Let's have them put it in the chat right now. So it's in the chat to the panelist. So you get the chat feature just in the panelist. Just type in keeper, and that way that so again, first time doing it, we just want to make sure we're not missing anybody out. So thank you for doing that. And then Bob, if you want to send those controls over when you're done with this one, I'll get going real quick in the last 15 minutes, and we'll have time for questions still. So yeah, we're getting a lot of them in there. So thank you guys for doing that.
So you should now be the host.
All righty. So I'm gonna go ahead and share my screen, and I'm gonna do this one over here and show my video panel, and I'm just gonna hit this. I'm gonna do some restarts first. You know what, new share. Just like I do with my students, guys, I always get stuff wrong. So now you're seeing where it says quick restarts, correct?
Yeah.
Yes. All right,
It's
cool. All right.
blank, but it's there.
It's, all right. Here we go. And so when we talk about the quick restarts, right? The quick parts were no longer required to give a 5-yard buffer zone. So it's not, but it's not run, force, run. Okay, it doesn't mean just get on your hobby and get going as quick as you can. They should happen in the correct location. So if it goes out of bounds in the inline, the restart should happen on the inline. Okay. We need to make sure officials are in position first before the restart. Again, we know we've reiterated that a couple times. Make sure the player has possession of the ball. If you're going to get blown a whistle, make sure they actually have possession. Make sure it's in their cross. They can cradle. They can do something common to the game with it. What do we do if they go too fast? So I'm not blowing a whistle and they're on a full-out sprint. Well, if you go too fast, it's time to bring it back. Okay. The players, they still need to wait for the whistle. They still must wait for the whistle. And if the offense doesn't follow the rules, they lose their quick restart. They lose their they lose their advantage. Okay. So if the offensive player is just going to start sprinting his butt off on the field without us blowing a whistle, he's going to lose his advantage. Okay. So rolling restarts versus a running restart. We've said it's okay on the inline. Okay, to do a rolling in restart. You're jogging in. You're not sprinting in. If you're sprinting on the inline, we're just going to push you back. Okay. On a sideline, where it goes out of bounds at. If it goes out of bounds at the 20-yard line, come rolling into the 20-yard line. If you bring it into the 40-yard line, go. You're going back to the 20-yard line. That's where it went out of bounds. That's where the restart's going to happen. Okay. Open field, right? You can roll, but you need to show me the ball. Have the players show you the ball and then hit the whistle. Okay. Face-off violation, same thing. The guy picks it up and sprints. No. Show me the ball and then go. So turnover, drop, roll, show, and go. Okay. So, roll, show, and go is a good little method to go with. They're rolling, they're showing, and then they're going. And as Bob mentioned and Tom's mentioned, right, sub box, we got to slow down to the sub box. These guys go crazy in front of the sub box. Nothing good happens there. And as goalies, they need 5 seconds, right? They get a maximum of 5 seconds. If they're back in the crease after 2 seconds, blow the whistle. They get a maximum of 5 seconds. Let's see, as far as I'm gonna hit up this. I'm not gonna watch the whole GLLOA.
There you go. Time.
Matching an NCAA single game record. It's for the Terps. Pretty good company. Chris Kluche, Oliver Marty, Gary Gate.
Just like that. They slowed up. They showed you the ball. Hit the whistle. Okay. And that guy was within 5 yards. Let me go back there. That's the reason I pulled it up. Right. Is that on this restart, the defender's not giving him a 5-second buffer zone.
Pretty good company. Chris Kluche, Oliver Marty, Gary Gate.
Delay a game. Okay, so that's that flag for that delay a game there. Over and back, Here's a quick little video for the restart. Again, what we should be seeing here on the restart. He goes over, gets him 5 yards. He's separated. We're going. And then I'll be, after this one, we got a little interactive game for the last couple seconds. Okay, we got over and back. The over and back right there, drop, and it gets out of the way. Okay. I don't want to kill this. I know I showed this last year, so I'm going to stop this over here. And then I'm going to ready to share another one. Any questions though for what I just shared, or anything, Bob, or anything like that? Any questions for that? I just went through, or no? Okay, I'm pulling up the last one. Some of you guys might know.
Actually, Jeremy, we did have a question. Goalkeeper, 5-second rule applies to dead ball when goalkeeper is in the offensive zone.
Any
Correct.
dead ball, right? Any dead ball. Anytime we have a whistle, the goalkeeper gets a maximum of 5 seconds.
Get
Yes.
back to the crease.
Yeah, he can be different anywhere, defensive or offensive half.
He can be on the other end of the field. He can be
Right.
behind his own goal. Doesn't make any difference. He gets 5 seconds.
Okay, for those of you guys that know the sound, go ahead and you're going to visit this on your smartphone real quick if you have it with you. Again, it's only 6 questions. You know, be appropriate. Don't put any inappropriate names. It's just, these are questions on the new rule changes this year. I put them together at the beginning of the presentation, so I figured it's only 6 questions on them. And we're gonna roll this one at 8:51. We're gonna start the game at. So you're visiting this website, kahoot.it. And you're gonna type in the game code 1204417. And if you're in the car, yeah, don't join Kahoot. Sorry. Yes, obviously, if you can't join it, that's fine, guys. This is something. Yeah, we are recording this, so please, keep it appropriate. Let's show them that lacrosse officials know how to be appropriate. Don't be like one of my students in school. I got to kick out of here. And I can hope this. I'm going to roll this one right at 8:50. So 13 of the 39 of us are on right now. And what you'll see is 6 true or false questions based on rule changes from 2019 and 2020. The faster you answer the question, more points you'll get. At the end of it, the winner will be on a podium, and they'll get a nice prize from GLLOA. A round of applause. But all right, I'm going to start rolling in about 10. Unless you really want in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, let's roll it out. I forgot 2020 because it didn't happen. So 19 and 21. Disallowing a goal. The ball in the last second shot contacts with any offensive, defensive player after the goalie contact. Is that true or false? You disallow a goal after goalie contact. This is a true statement here, right? So after a shot hits the goalie, okay, make sure we read the statement, right? It's on the last second shot, so it's after the horn. The ball hits the goalie. Then if it hits any other player, offensive player or defensive player, and goes in a goal, it's not a goal. Cummings, is that correct?
That's correct.
All right. So let's see the leaderboard. Igor, look at him, man. He's ready to roll. Question 2.
Pronounced Igor.
Igor, my bad. Defenseless player body check is always 2 to 3 minutes releasable. Legal body check against a defenseless player. Oh, those damn words, releasable. No, it's not releasable, right? A defenseless player body check is always going to be 2 to 3 minutes non-releasable. Sorry, this is a teacher of me giving you those trick questions over there. So let's see how Igor's done. Igor and that crazy Canuck. I wonder who that is.
Yeah, I wonder who that is.
Question number 3 of 6. Flag down to whistle, grounded ball, action remains alive. Grounded ball does not end a slow whistle. That's right, going back to that rule change from 2019, right? If it's a flag down to the grounded ball, does not end it. So that's a true statement there. Idor, I mean, whew. You got to get one wrong here. An illegal cross is always 2 minutes not releasable. The cross may stay in the game. True, right? Remember that this is a new rule change in 2021. That illegal cross is always 2 minutes not releasable, but the cross may stay in the game if it's corrected, right? If it's corrected. Yeah, oh, D-Ray. See what happens. And I know some of you guys couldn't join, so just go ahead and watch it. It's fine. Just watch it. A player throwing a cross on the ground out of frustration shall be ruled a 1 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty. That's right. Again, it should not. It's a 30-second, right? Tom Cummings, am I correct?
It's a 30-second penalty for frustration, right?
Oh yeah. It's only if you throw it at a player, throw it at another ball, throw it, at an official, then you get the 1 to 3 minute non-releasable penalty. But if you throw it out of the ground out of frustration, just a technical foul. Okay, you gotta go fast, D-Ray. Just pick one and go. Okay, don't even look at the question. Offensive player can be within 5 yards during a restart. An offensive player can be within 5 yards during a restart. Maybe we have all the answers in, but I'll give the last 5 seconds.
Yes, master.
The answer is false. Remember, we cannot have offensive players within 5 yards during a restart. If the offensive player is within 5 yards, you got to back them up, guys. That's a false statement there. So they may not be within it. All right, done of the done. See the podium here. 3rd place, 6 out of 6, D-Dub. Congratulations. D-Ray. Don't call him Igor. It's Igor. So, all right. I figured have a little fun with that. Hey, Illini and Rough Guy, good job. You guys runners up. I'm going to stop my share. I'm going to turn it back over to Bob. Want me to go back to your computer, Bob, or are you good here?
I think we're just going to wrap up. Right, we got 5 minutes left. Would love feedback, folks, on how this worked tonight. We got a long season ahead of us. We'll end up doing a lot of stuff virtual. From my perspective, things went real well. It's a much shorter session. If you're doing college, you're seeing GLLOA doing the same thing, right? Short attention span, get people on, getting the material they need, and move on. So any thoughts before we wrap up tonight?
You guys got 5 minutes. You want to mute yourselves and let us know what we could do differently. Again, we're trying to. Level 2 is a little more advanced than level 1. Level 1's trying to do a lot more PowerPoint. We're trying to have a little dialogue. It is tough in this situation here. So any kind of feedback for Bob, Tom, they'll help out.
I got a question.
Go ahead, Bob.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yeah. So Tom Cummings just mentioned on this quiz that throwing the stick in frustration is a technical foul. But it's going to be different it's always going to be 30 seconds. There's not going to be an exchange, just a loss of ball.
Just a loss of ball. That's what it should be.
Okay.
Maybe he throws it after a goal is scored, so you give it to the other team for the face-off. That's all.
Okay, because people kept saying, earlier they said it's 30 seconds, 30 seconds. So that's why I was wondering.
No, you can award possession like any other technical foul.
Okay.
Now, if
All right.
a team is entitled to possession, right? We have a dead ball technical foul, and it's a defense that does it. Then it's going to be a 30-second.
Right. It could be 30 also, right. But let's say after a goal, the defensive player's pissed, throws a stick on the ground. Nobody has possession at this point. We're going to face it off. You're going to give it to the other team to face off. Yeah.
Okay.
So live ball or dead ball, teammate runs by his team bench. His teammate on the sideline tosses him his alternate stick. What do you got?
Just a technical foul, right? So again, if it's a live ball, it's just a turnover. If it's an offensive player, right? If it's a dead ball, you're going to probably have the guy. If a team's entitled to possession, you'll have a 30-second penalty.
So I'm switching sticks. I'm staying in the game. I'm gonna hit him for a foul because he's switching his stick with his teammate.
Jeff, on that, you got to define toss, right? If he's running within the sideline, a couple of yards, and he's just switching sticks, you got nothing. If
Yeah,
he's out by
Bob.
the wing line and somebody's tossing it 5 yards, go ahead, John.
Bob, but they don't want you to throw the stick at all. Period. That's just because it drops it. Something issues happen. They're just they gotta get close to that thing because it's actually advantage you run around and toss that ball a yard. Okay, if you're switching long pole, short pole, if you don't go all the way to the bench, now he's got an advantage that yard too. Also, you remember they can gain advantage when I have them get to that bench. So you want to get them to this right to the sideline. The rule states don't toss the sticks.
I think what Bob was saying, Evander. I think if you're on the sideline and you're not doing, if you're tossing it a matter of 6 inches, it's different than doing.
But there's a difference. But you still want them to. Things can happen when they drop that stick. Blah blah blah. It's you want. I wouldn't flag them. I would warn them though. So listen, from now on, I want you to hand that stick to them. All of a sudden, 6 inches comes a foot. Foot comes to 2 foot. You know what I'm saying? I wouldn't flag. I'd warn them. But that's something they don't want you tossing those sticks at all.
Well, I'm also assuming we're in a dead ball system.
Oh, dead ball's nothing. No, light ball. They do it in light ball. They transition light ball.
That's very different, right? You could have an attack guy running down the field and want to switch to a long pole.
Right.
You're not going to do that. He's got to come off the field. Somebody's got to come on.
Or they can hand it to him. They can hand them They can hand it right. Yeah, dead ball. Who cares? But they're talking live ball. I've seen them switch live ball. It's you just don't want them during live ball. You just want them tossing sticks.
Yep.
I'd warn them. First time, but after that, just flag
Good
them.
stuff. Good call. Gotta jump to another one. Thanks, guys. See you next week.
Okay. Anything else? We are at 9 o'clock. Otherwise, we will see you next Monday. Thanks, everyone. Great session.
Thanks, guys.
Kill the recording.